stock market goes belly up, their metals are going to go through the roof, and that's their hedge.
Looking back over what we've seen in the past year here, you wrote another article about how the silver price should have hit $50 in February. And to kind of set the stage for that, we saw the price move up by like $5.20 in 2 trading days. And that was really accompanied by a massive buying of physical inventories over the weekend. And that had kind of like forced some bullion dealers to actually shut down their websites out of fear of not being able to get demand. So how did that situation play out from your perspective, Nate?
So I'll tell you what, a lot of the legwork for that, I have to give credit to Ronan Manley. Basically, let me see this somewhere in the chart here. Up here it is. So basically what happened was, the silver squeeze happened. Everybody went out and said, hey, I want to buy. And the dealers had to stop selling because, they didn't know if they could get some supply and the like. But what you had seen shortly thereafter was paper falling from the rafters. Now, some of this could have been legit hedges from, a lot of the dealers. They could have been buying supply and at the same time hedging it. But if you talk to some of these guys, they don't do a lot of hedging these days. So another bet could have been take a look at how overstretched the price got. And hey, I'm going to bet against it because I bet it's going to come down a little bit. But Ronan Manley did a lot of work on this as far as the details of this. And that article that you're talking about, I don't have up right now. But a lot of that had to do with there were some inventory games. Basically where I think it was something like 100 and some million ounces were miscounted. And that just so happened to be about the exact number that a certain large ETF was supposed to put into their vaults in 3 days. And I don't want to name names here, but that was the accusation that if this ETF was not able to actually fulfill that 110 million ounces and they didn't have it, if that information had gotten out as was expected, you would think silver potentially could have gone parabolic. Mm-hmm. And because that was able to be kind of pushed under the rug, if you will, we just accidentally miscounted 100 million ounces. Yeah, because of that and that information not getting out, they were able to tamp down the price, if you will, because if you had this major large ETF come out and say, hey, we can't fulfill this silver need, we don't have it, what would that have done to the market almost immediately? So I don't necessarily think a lot of us were wrong. I think it's possible that the other side of this, these people are much better at shell games than we gave them credit for. Mm-hmm. So you would think an honest person would be like, hey, we just don't have it. Let's just report that. And that's kind of not what happened. That kind of got brushed under the rug. They changed their prospectus overnight, essentially, as this was going on, saying we might not have the silver. So you have to give credit to Ronan on this because this guy was like, he's digging through the prospectuses on all this stuff. And if you put that and you piece that all together, it leads to a situation that, silver could have gotten really out of control very quickly because of how this stuff is all set up. So the futures market as it is, if you had everyone running out and buying $50 silver at that time because they're hoping it got to $200, $300 silver, it would have completely overwhelmed everything. Mm-hmm. So the futures market essentially was there to tamp down the price, if you will, in advance. So it is what it is. And we're down to $21 silver last 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it gives an opportunity for a lot of guys to load up. I know the premiums have come back down a lot. But yeah, we'll see how this goes with supply in the next couple, 6-12 months with, what I was talking about with the silver and the solar and the energy and all that other fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. But Nate, if we take a minute to think about the available supply of tradable silver in the market, we're quoted with a figure of about 25 billion ounces, right? So in your opinion, is this all available at the moment, or when do we see the price start to rise with that will force some sellers to hold off and maybe wait for that momentum to drive the price even higher?
So yeah, there's another article I wrote about the whole supply thing, and you had a guest on your show who I actually love. A lot of people have some issues with him, but the guy, he's completely entertaining for me. But I've heard him and some others talk about the total silver stock above ground at like 25 billion ounces. I think the total available above ground supply total in all is like 60 billion ounces. It's said to be about 30 billion or so ounces are like in dumps everywhere, in TVs, mirrors, microchips, just in dumps, unrecoverable because it may cost you $300 to get that ounce out of something. But then there may be about 25 billion or so ounces that could be in jewelry, it could be in tea sets, it could be in and things like that. Grandma silver, as Craig Hemke calls it, there could be a lot of silver in that in 25 billion ounces. True, absolutely. But at what price point are you tapping that supply? So that leaves about 5 billion or so, which is estimated to be in the bars, the coins, and I think 2.5 billion of that is owned by ETFs. So the total float I had in my article was somewhere like 1 to 200 million ounces, complete float. Okay. And that's not on the price sensitivity area. That's like, okay, if you wanted to go out right now and buy 100 million ounces or so, you could. It would be out there. Now there's also debate upon the registered and the eligible COMEX supplies. I don't want to go too far into that, but you're looking at one of them that might be 250 million ounces that are there, but they're not necessarily for sale at that price. So that might be an immediate supply if needed, if price points go up. But if you're thinking about like who owns this silver in this supply at this large level, and let's just think about you're dealing with some billionaires and millionaires out there that if they're holding this metal, it's their investment hedge. They have 1% of their portfolio or 2% of their portfolio or whatever it is in silver or gold or whatever it is. They're not selling for $1 more an ounce. They're just not. That's their bomb shelter silver. Okay. That's in case the stock market goes belly up, their metals are going to go through the roof, and that's their hedge. So they're not selling that for $5 more, or even $10 more. So that being said, as you go back to this 25 billion ounces, and if that's grandma silver, and if that's jewelry, at what price point are you selling it? Let's just say, for argument's sake, $50 an ounce, that a lot of this becomes available. Okay. Well, if it does, then what about the refineries? They got to where does this junk silver, or where does this silver go? The coin shop may give you some money for it, but then it goes to refineries to turn into bars or whatever. But these refineries get significantly backed up. So what I had heard in 2011 was that like coin shops were stopping, they weren't taking any more silver because it may be worth $40 or $50 an ounce, but their refineries were not taking anymore because they were backed up. Mm-hmm. So that was an issue you run into. And I know silver is one of those types of assets. I wish I knew what the name of it was now, but the higher it gets, the more people want it.
Giffen good.
That's what it is. Okay. So at like $28, $30, all my buddies are like, Nate, how do I get some silver? All of them. And so I'm talking to them about junk silver and all this other fun stuff. As soon as it hits down to $24, $20, $22, Nate, you're an idiot. Silver's going down. I'm like, dude, buy more. But the lack of interest. So at $30, $40, $50 silver, the interest increases exponentially. Mm-hmm. So where are they getting that silver? So as we all saw, you could, in a weekend, completely clean out global supply for the most part of the retail supply. So once those shelves are cleaned, what are they doing? They're going to your PSLV, you're going to your other types of things. And how long before a PSLV in those types of environments sucks up the rest of the silver? And not only that, I love Kinesis. You can buy Kinesis silver and they'll go out and they'll buy your 100 or 1,000 ounce bars or whatever it is, and they'll put it in their vaults and they'll pay you to store it. So how long until, if we're in a situation where silver does hit over $30, if Michael Oliver's momentum structure is to be believed, if this is going to have this next shelf, we may have 25 billion ounces of available supply. I get that. But how many refineries do we have? And how quickly can that supply meet the market? And my guess is the only way to keep that from getting out of control is the silver futures market. That's it. That's the only way. Mm-hmm. So if you sell a lot of these things, you will push the price down. So I think that 25 billion ounces is a misnomer. I think it's there, but it's not available. So at what price is it available and how quickly can it come to market are completely different conversations that I think some of these guys should address.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.